Aloha and welcome to the Xeno Podcast, where we talk about how we shape stories and how they shape us. I'm sorry to say that Jackson has graduated and won't be on the podcast any longer, but the good news is I'm here with my new co-host, Cole.
Yes, like Carly said, my name is Cole. I am from Boise, Idaho, also known as the City of Trees. And I am starting my third year here at BYU, Hawaii. I am studying English, and I'm excited to be a part of the podcast. So we recognize that we are in a very unique situation here at BYU, Hawaii. We're on a tiny island that's just a dot if you look on a map, but we have one of the most diverse campuses in the United States.
Yeah, and one of the coolest things that we hear around campus is people's stories and where they're from and how they got here. So we would like to start to highlight these countries and hear their different stories.
So today we've invited a few students who are going to tell us all about Indonesia.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll just have you say your name, where you're from in Indonesia, and a little bit about yourself, yeah?
Okay, I'll start. I'm Marcia. I'm from Jakarta, which is the capital city of Indonesia. I am a senior studying hospitality, tourism, and management here. And I also happen to work with Carly and Cole at the Reading Writing Center.
Hi, Marcia.
So I'm Ariel. I was born and raised in Jakarta. It's my fourth semester. I'm taking business supply chain as my major. I'm working now at PCC, Polynesia Cultural Center. The best.
Very nice.
Okay, and my name is Erica. I'm from Surabaya. It's like the second largest city in Indonesia. And I'm studying hospitality and tourism management. I'm a junior now. And I'm working at PCC also.
And I'm Taylor. I'm not from Indonesia. I just served my mission there for 2 years. So I'm from Indiana, and I'm just here to, provide any feedback on that.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on and letting us pick your brains a little bit about Indonesia. We're just going to jump in with the questions, but feel free to say whatever you want, yeah?
Yeah, say whatever you think is important or you want people to know about Indonesia.
Sure.
Cool.
Awesome. So maybe we'll start. So for those listeners who maybe don't know, where exactly is Indonesia?
So Indonesia is located like right by the equator. So it's a tropical country. So if you've ever heard of like Singapore, Malaysia, we're like right below like Singapore, Malaysia, right there. What a lot of people like know is that Bali is actually a part of Indonesia. So when you talk about Bali, people are like, oh, okay, I know where Bali is.
Yeah.
But then when we ask, like, do you know that it is in Indonesia? They're like, I've never heard of Indonesia, which is weird because it's the country. Yeah, so it's right also like close to Australia a little bit, like a 3-hour flight, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
3-4 hours, like, or maybe 5 hours, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's where Indonesia is.
Well, like seriously, they often know Bali more than Indonesia. So.
And is that just because of the tourism
Yeah, the
that's
tourism.
so popular
Very
over there?
Bali.
Bali.
so what's it like there? Like, can I just start with that question? Like, it was very broad, so...
Bali only or?
Oh,
like
Indonesia, where you're
Indonesia?
from. Yeah, where you're from.
It's very beautiful. It's like lots of islands. It's almost like Hawaii, but it's more humid.
Oh.
And especially Bali is like Hawaii.
Oh, really? Is it like a lot of the same plants, like really green?
If it's in Jakarta, in capital, probably not.
Nah.
but
Very
but
city.
if you look like outside Jakarta, like probably still many lands there. So.
Yeah, like Indonesia consists of about, I think, 17,000 islands. So there's a lot of like places where you can just find like greeneries, like lots of jungles, forests. But most people live in Java, which is like the main island. Like Surabaya is in Java, like Jakarta is in Java. So in Java, you'll see more of like the I guess, suburban cities or like more of the like buildings and stuff. So, but if you go to the other islands, you'll see more of the, I guess, nature kind of like places, nature-like places.
That's cool.
So yeah, I guess, well, I honestly haven't been to a lot of places in Indonesia, but Taylor probably has because he served his mission. So,
So I was mostly around Jakarta and like the cities right next to that, and it goes from like Jakarta being like the biggest city I'd ever seen up to that point, and then going up to like Bandung where it's like up in the mountains and it's like it's actually cold, like there's, you know, fog from your breath in the morning and stuff. And so there's a big range from, you know, from country to city, but yeah, it's so green. That was the first thing that I noticed. It's so pretty there.
So would it be similar to if you could compare Honolulu and once you get out of Honolulu and go into more of the country with the capital city and then moving outward?
I would say, yeah, it's kind of similar. Jakarta is more like we have more people in the city. So even here, like going to Honolulu for us, it's kind of different because it's not as crowded. There aren't as many buildings. Traffic is
Crazy.
crazy back home. Yeah.
But
So I would even say like, yeah, the town here is more kind of like if you go to like the smaller towns like outside of Jakarta, it's kind of like that. But if you do go to the capital, which is where I'm from, where Ariel is from, it's so packed with like people and buildings and everywhere. So it's a lot different to me, to us. Yeah. It's different.
Right.
So coming here from like such a packed city, like, and now we're in Laie, where it's like it's very spread out, it's very country. Was it a little bit of a culture shock, or like you just fit right in, it just clicked?
At first, I had like a culture shock because I grew up in a big city, and then in Laie, it's so far from everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I needed like several months to adapt like this environment.
Yeah, I bet. So, are you like a shopper? Like, do you like going shopping?
Yes, I was.
Here.
I was like that.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you kind of felt culture shocked from, like differences between American or Hawaiian culture and Indonesian?
I think like public transportation is one that
Really?
comes to my mind. Yeah, because it's in back home, it's easy to like travel like from place to place. Our public transportation is not the best.
Yeah.
Because you have these like, I don't know, really bad like angkot is what we call like
It's
these,
crowded.
like,
It's packed inside the
like a minivan
Minivan.
sort of
Wow.
that takes tons of people.
Yeah. So the minivan, like maximum person inside like 6, but we can put 10 person inside. Or 11 person inside there.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So it's like smaller than a bus. It's just like a van,
it's-
like a
It's like
taxi.
yeah,
almost. Okay.
kind of like that.
Cool.
So yeah, but they're everywhere, and you can like write them like, and you can pay like, I don't know, 20 cents to like
Wow.
travel, and because that's another thing. Everything is much cheaper back home too. So whereas here we're on an island and you have to wait for an hour for the next bus to come and take you from Laie to say Honolulu. So
slow.
that was kind of like not a culture shock, but just it took a while for us to adapt, I think, because whenever we need to go to town to get something, you'll have to like make special arrangements, whereas back home you're just like, oh, let's just do it, like, and then you catch on the next angkot, the next bus, whatever. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. So, in Indonesia, what kind of celebrations do you guys have, or holidays?
Holidays. The common holidays probably the Idul Adha, Idul Fitri, Idul
Idul
Adha.
Adha, Idul
So it's
Fitri.
a Muslim ceremonial. They fast for a month, and the end of the month they celebrate because they're fasting. It's Idul Adha or Idul Fitri? Idul Fitri. Idul
It's
Adha?
like Ramadan month.
Ramadan month.
So-
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so because about maybe 95% or 90 to 95% of the population in Indonesia are Muslims.
Really?
Yeah, so we have a lot of like Muslim holidays, like the fasting month, and then they have like two different like Idul Fitri, like the one that's like the fasting one, and then the other one was just like to honor the Prophet Muhammad, and then other multiple holidays like just with the Muslim religion. So those are the most like famous celebrations, I guess, because once like they celebrate that, like you're like, for instance, like in the fasting month, you're probably gonna get like 2 weeks off from school. There won't be school in that during that
sweet.
time. Yeah, it's pretty sweet, but at the same time, like imagine, because it's the fasting month, so like everything will close. They shut down, like McDonald's windows will have like curtains, so that people won't get tempted to eat, kind of like that in restaurants. So
It's pretty much good.
yeah, Muslim holidays, and our Independence Day is on August 17th. So that's a big celebration too in our country every year.
For Christmas, I think
It's not that big.
yeah, it's not that big in Asia.
Really?
Yeah, but several people like most of the Christians still like have big celebration there, but because most of them are Muslim, we didn't celebrate much.
It's like not a bigger thing. Cool. So like, what's a celebration like? Like, what kind of food do you guys have? Yeah, like, is it a potluck like here where everybody brings like large amounts of meat and rice and pineapple, whatever they can find, or is it like very traditional? What's
We have lots of like traditional foods. Like usually if we have like big celebration, we have this which is called nasi kuning or yellow rice, and they and they make it like
kind of like a mountain.
like
nice.
a mountain,
Cone.
like
Cone.
like a cone,
okay.
like a cone, and they it's in a big like plate, super big plate, and then they add like chickens or of some other vegetables, everything.
Oh, sounds so
everything
good.
there.
Probably Taylor.
Yeah.
Bad
What was
experience.
your experience?
Worst experience.
The food is so good. Yeah, and they come. It's like Polynesia too. Like it's just when they have food, there's like all the food you could ever want and enough to take home for like the next week. It's
Beautiful.
you have like rice and fruit and vegetables and stuff, and all these different kinds of tofu is amazing. I never had like, in the States you have like a little bit, like maybe some, I don't know, something like if somebody's vegetarian or whatever. Over there they have like fried tofu with like eggs and stuff, and like in this sauce, and it's absolutely wonderful.
You must miss that.
We have this other product called tempeh. It goes,
true.
so tofu in Indonesia always goes with tempeh, like tahu and tempeh. And tempeh is like, it's fermented soy too, but it's not in a tofu product. It's just kind of like the soybeans like mashed together, sort of. So I don't know. It's just lots of different things that you can do with just the soybeans. So
Yeah.
I miss that. I miss that so much.
And is most of the food imported, or do you grow it in Indonesia?
We grow it in Indonesia because like we have like lands also.
Just like
There's lots of farming. Lots of farming, definitely. Like lots of rice plantations. Lots of Indonesia is also pretty famous for like their tea and coffee like exports to other countries. So we have lots of tea plantations, coffee plantations. If you go to Bandung, like Taylor said, you'll see lots of that. So
that's cool. That's cool. So coming here, American food, what's the verdict? What's your opinion? Is it not as good, or?
I mean, it's not bad. It's American food. It's like everyone know, like burger stuff. So it's not bad. It's not bad. For me, For me, it's not bad. I don't know, my friends.
Yeah, I know when we're talking to Marsha, she's always like, we introduced Marsha to pizza rolls a few weeks ago, and you always bring up, you like rice Rice. That's what you love.
Yep.
I mean, from the three of, like, let's say, well, Taylor, you probably tried pizza roll. Have you tried pizza rolls before?
Oh, I haven't.
No.
No,
See?
I haven't.
You like pizza?
We gotta have a party.
Should have brought some today.
Yeah.
See?
But it seems like pizza, right?
It's like
So,
a pizza in a pocket. Like a
nice.
little
the same like
dough,
pizza.
That's
like square.
We think
Yeah.
it's the same. For them, it's like, no, it's a different thing, Marsha.
No, it's just funny. We just forget the staples of American food. But yeah, well, mostly fast food. So walk me through like a typical day in Indonesia. Like do you wake up really early? You go to school just like here, or what's?
very early. Like when I was in high school, I think we have to start class at 6:30 in the morning.
wow.
So I went to school like about 5:30. So I need like about 1 hour because there's also traffic. So we have to manage our time very well.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the little. I think that's a little different as well. Like when it comes to like traveling time in Indonesia, like it takes about half an hour on average at least to get from your home to a school, and that's if you're lucky. A lot of people travel like at least like an hour from their house to school, and that's already like driving in a car, like, you know. So I know like in America, like usually students just like bike to school. They can sometimes students like you can even walk to school, like our home, like, but that's very uncommon like in our country. And another thing is like because we don't have like the what do you call it, like the the sun sets at about 6 p.m. and that's constant throughout the whole year.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's early.
so usually like people are starting to like wrap things up, or like people sleep by like 10 or 11 p.m. Yeah.
Especially for
Early.
getting up
Yes.
that early. Yeah.
Yes.
I bet.
So you won't see a lot of businesses open like above like 10 p.m. unless maybe it's the weekends. But even then, like most people are already like at home in like doing your own thing by like 7 or 8 p.m. Kind of like everybody's just already at home. So
That's really cool. So you wake up early, you go to
I don't know.
school. Yeah, it's any other.
School, spend like most of the hours in school. I attended school like for like 8-9 hours every day.
Every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Like
for high school.
Monday to
especially.
Friday, 8 to 9 hours.
Wow.
I think it's like compared to other Asian like nationality, we have like pretty chill
Really?
like academic education in Indonesia. Like we can get home like early more than the Koreans. I heard the Koreans they they can
stay
go
until
stay until 9.
Yeah, we'll have to
Oh,
have
wow.
some of them to
But
interview as
we-
well.
we'll
Yeah.
come.
Indonesia, most of the Indonesian high school they got home like 1 p.m. 2 p.m. Yeah, then
yeah.
they have free time until 9.
Yeah,
That's
3 p.m. usually.
Kinda nice.
And is there a lot of pressure in school that you have to study a lot for all your classes, or like you said, is it pretty
It's,
chill? and
We
laid
have
back?
like around like 13 to 14 subjects every
Wow.
semester.
Wow.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's a lot.
subjects like yeah.
I will say like we have more subjects and more, I don't know, more pressure from like paying attention at school and doing your best at school, so that you don't have a lot of things to do at home.
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like less pressure at home and
Yeah.
more pressure when you're at school. And like attendance is a big thing. Like if you miss one day of school, it's like you miss a
miss
lot.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
So you don't want to get sick.
You do not want to get sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also depends on the kind of school that you go to. So public schools are different than like say international schools or private schools, because I went to a private school where we spend more hours at school. I went home like in high school. I went home at like 3:30, but we have more things to do as well, like more projects. So it just depends on the school, I think. But yeah, pretty much like you do most of your work at school so that you don't have to carry anything when you go home.
Okay.
So yeah.
So going from, I know it's high school to university, but do you think like this is more challenging here in the US or like in Indonesia? Do you-
More challenging here,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
especially the language,
Yeah.
and we also have to work.
Yeah.
So it's more challenging.
That is-
Was
Yeah,
challenging, but
balancing.
this is more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is English a language that is taught in high school typically? Is it an option or is it a required class?
It
Anything like
depends
that?
on every school. I think
Mhm.
yeah, some of the like most of the private school they have an English program, but
Okay.
like government school,
Mhm.
I think it's different. It's different.
It's a little different. I went to a full English speaking school where
Yeah.
all of my subjects were taught in English.
Oh.
So I'm used to like
Yeah.
conversing in English, writing my papers in English. So, but
There are some
yeah.
of the schools
there are a lot of schools in Indonesia still
they
that
don't
still
provide English
yeah.
program.
it's just a subject that you have to pass. Like you'll have to
Yeah.
take like the
Yeah.
GRE,
GRE?
GRE, right?
GRE.
The high school
GED?
equivalent. GED.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
GED.
GRE and GED, and there's a lot of acronyms.
Yes. So like the high school exam in Indonesia, we have that like a standardized high school exam that everyone needs to take
Oh, okay.
if you go to a public school, and English is one of the subjects.
Mhm.
But the English exam, like for that test, is very much like a low level kind of
Yeah,
English
low
that's
level,
like
yeah.
very minimum English that you need to know, like say preposition like where is the dog, and then you have to like point it out to the picture on the exam.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, English is not like that. I think it's getting better though, because the government I think is putting more like emphasis on how we need to learn English and how important it is to learn English. But most public schools still don't use English as a language in the subjects that they teach in school. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, me just knowing English, if I just went to Indonesia, like, would I struggle to, like, communicate with people? Or do you think, like, it'd be okay?
Taylor, the expert on this one.
You will be the expert.
Lost for a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh, yeah.
But the nice thing is that the nice thing is that people are like super helpful about it and stuff. You know, like if once they understand you or like where you're trying to go with it, then they'll help you. You know, it's a. I've been told Indonesian is like an easier language to pick up. It was still pretty hard for me, but I guess relative to other languages, and it's supposed to have like a lower, like everyday vocabulary and stuff. So less words that you have to learn and stuff, and the grammar is pretty consistent. But if you go there only knowing English, then it's going to be very, very hard for you. It'd be like if you came from like Spain and came here and like or came to, you know, the mainland, and everybody's taken Spanish in high school, but like, you know, how many people can hold a conversation? Yeah,
That's
I know,
true.
I can't really.
Think
yeah,
about
like you're
that.
good with uno dos tres, and then like beyond that,
Bueno.
it might be. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Indonesians have heard a lot more English than
Yeah.
I have Spanish, but it's, you know, that's about what you'd be looking at.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And so Carly asked, like, if we went visiting, is there any other advice you would have for someone who wants to go visit Indonesia? What they should or should not do, or what they should or should not bring, or go somewhere?
I will probably suggest if you're going for the first time, you should probably do your research definitely.
Yeah.
Like it's just a normal thing to do, I guess. If you're traveling anywhere, you just need to do your research.
Yeah.
Find someone who can like take you around. Like if you have an Indonesian friend, that would definitely help, because especially as I guess an American or a white person, most Indonesians would think that you're very rich if you come to Indonesia, and because of that, you'll probably get ripped off. Like
Yeah.
they'll trick you. Yeah, they'll charge you more for, like, say, riding the public transportation or buying food on the streets. Like if you are not with an Indonesian who knows like the pricing of things, then
Yeah.
they'll probably charge you more than you're supposed to. So you probably want to be careful with that if it's your first time, like, because people will just think like, oh, they must be very rich because they're using dollars and like, you know, they have lots of money. So that would be the first caution if you're a like white American person.
That's good advice.
I don't know. Yeah. What else? Like you can
Yeah.
just prepare for the heat, because it's not just heat, it's humidity. So it's a lot more humid, and it's you'll just want to prepare for like a lot of like sweating wherever you go. So yeah, I guess I don't know what else can
What else?
you suggest.
Yeah, I think if a foreigner comes to Indonesia, they can bring natives, get friends with the native. I think the native can help them, like, so
Yeah.
they can not get ripped off.
Yeah. What about like, oh, you would have to go see this place? Where's the place
Yeah.
that you have
What's
to
your
see?
favorite places to go? Yeah.
It's
Bali, of course. Not that I've never even
Papua?
been to Bali. Papua, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Raja
Ariel,
Ampat.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Raja
What is
Ampat.
that?
Raja
Where-
Ampat.
So Ariel actually lived in Papua, which
Yeah.
is, so when you think of Papua, like Papua New Guinea is their own like separate
Yeah.
government and like yeah, different
Yeah.
from Indonesia. But there's another side to Papua which belongs to Indonesia,
Yeah.
and
It's like Maldives. it's,
it's really nice.
it's really nice. So yeah, there are many lands there. Resort, yeah,
Oh
Beach.
yeah, beautiful.
yeah, beautiful
Waterfalls.
waterfalls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I will also suggest going to Yogyakarta. They have a lot of like cultural things there
Yeah.
that you can like see, and you can buy lots of souvenirs in Yogyakarta.
And very cheap.
Yeah.
Very, very cheap.
Very,
Yeah.
very cheap.
Super cool.
Everything is below $1. So
Yeah.
Well,
and
Below $1.
if you're in Jakarta, you probably visit places like Taman Mini or Taman Safari, which is like the zoo.
Monas.
Monas, yeah, like a lot of like monuments. And for the longest time, Indonesia was colonized by the Dutch, so we have a lot of like buildings, or like lots of areas where
old buildings.
yeah, old buildings
Buildings.
where it's preserved because of the
cool.
Dutch influence there, and like they're now tourist places, I guess. In Jakarta, you'll see some of them, and shopping malls if you're in Jakarta.
Yeah.
I'm telling, especially if you're coming from Hawaii and then you go to Jakarta, you'll just see like the difference when it
You'll
comes
be
to
amazed
the
by their
shopping malls.
shopping malls.
Yeah,
Really?
It's so big. Like five levels.
5 stories.
5 stories.
Yeah, there's probably more, but
Yeah.
it's just, and like I said, because it's super hot, so people like spending their time in shopping malls because of the air conditioning. So
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The,
bet.
one thing that you need to do is visit the movie theater. I think that's
Really?
also something that I miss from home. It's the movie theaters or at least in my experience, like it's just way different than the movie theaters here in Hawaii. The bathrooms are way cleaner. They're way more like maintained, I guess, because labor cost in Indonesia is also pretty small. So, because there's a lot of people who need jobs, so they don't get paid as much as for like doing what, like working in a movie theater, say. So yeah, they can increase their number of employees because the labor cost is small. So they maintain their place by having more people working in the place.
That's pretty much.
So what do you do on the weekends? Like, you know, as American teenagers, we go to the movies, we go to the mall. Is it pretty much the same,
Yeah, pretty
or
much
do you
the same.
think
Like
go
malls.
to the beach, or what do you guys do?
Hang out.
Hang out.
Cafe.
Hang out, yeah.
Yeah.
We do less outdoor activities, I think,
Yeah.
than indoor, just because, like I said, it's so hot.
Yeah.
So
Hot.
Yeah, you go like bowling or you go to like cafes, restaurants with friends, watch
kind of the
movies.
same. I mean,
Kind of
it's
the same, yeah.
something that we could connect on is like things to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But cool. What do you miss the most, like from home? Yeah, like the food or like a certain place or people.
Food.
Just the food. Actually, just the food. But
Actually, just the food.
yeah.
Would you say that too, Taylor? You miss the food.
100%.
I have to have it now.
It's the spicy food, like real spicy food.
Mm.
So did they put it on meat usually, or is like the rice spicy?
Like everything.
Everything.
Everything's
Yeah,
spicy.
everything. Yeah.
Is it hard to find the spices here in Hawaii? You
Yes.
can't. They don't sell them anywhere.
Yeah.
They do, but
They do sell, but it's like very expensive.
Expensive,
Right, that makes
yeah.
sense.
and
Have to
it's
import
hard.
it.
I think I miss the food most because it's just so easy to like access them. Like, for instance, like you'll in Indonesia we have a lot of like street vendors where they sell food in like carts, like just by your home, and they're like I said, everything is under $1.
Oh, so
Maybe
nice.
more now. I haven't been home in a while, so. But everything is cheap
And some people also they sell food like on the cart and they walk around the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
like the
we
ice
don't
cream
need
man.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
we don't need to go to like Haula
Mm.
like to drive or
To walk outside.
or 5 minutes 10 minutes
Yeah.
to get like food at 7-Eleven. Like they come like
To you.
to you. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it's still cheap also, so
yeah.
that's what I miss.
Vegetables are so
The
cheap.
vegetables,
Yeah.
fruits, yeah.
It's so expensive here, especially.
When I was staying in Bandung, we got the number of one of the guys that sells fried rice that came by our house. And so we would be like coming home and we text him like, hey man, you coming by our street tonight? Yeah, we'll be there. Okay, 8 o'clock.
That's so.
Yeah.
And we have like the best fried rice. So it was like,
Sometimes they keep the missionaries number because the elders always text the card person
hungry
to come,
for sure.
come by. Yeah. So they know lots of missionaries, I think. So.
it's the most important contacts.
Yeah.
The cart guy.
The fried rice
cart,
guy.
The cart guy in Indonesia is a little different.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the meatball.
So,
Yeah.
does everybody eat out a lot because it is such good food, or do you think like do your moms cook a lot? Like, what's the culture like?
It depends on the family, I think.
Mm-hmm.
For my family, we eat inside in our home.
Okay, for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, my family eats a lot at home too. We rarely go out to eat, but the greatest thing about Indonesian market, like let's say grocery stores, we have what we call wet markets too. So like I said, vegetables are so cheap because they're locally grown by like local farmers, and they sell them themselves in the wet markets.
Oh, okay.
So they don't go through like suppliers or they go straight to the wet market and they can sell their own products, and that's why they sell them cheaper to like the customers, to us. And so my mom, like, she would like go to the wet market like every Saturday morning,
Oh, really?
like buys her whole like week supply of like vegetables, meat, you can name it, like everything, and then cook at home by herself. So but the wet market is also kind of different from a supermarket. Like here everything is packaged, everything is like, it looks clean and like it looks like it's been like through a million like, I don't know, disinfectant like process,
Yeah,
sort
like a
of, to make sure
filter
that it's, like,
almost.
filtration. Yes, everything is like packaged nicely. With the wet market, it's just like, it is what it is, like vegetables straight from your garden, meats, like you'll see the meat, like you'll see chickens getting like killed like right in front of your eyes at the wet market. Yeah, you buy a live chicken and then they'll like kill it for you on the spot, and you can bring
What
it home.
service?
Yeah, so it's but it lowers the cost of like having to like go through a supplier and everything.
Right.
So the food, if you buy food at the wet markets, it's cheaper, and then you can just cook them at home.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we eat at home a lot,
Yeah.
because like you can cook, and most families, they always like have like rice, right? So rice is a big thing. So you eat rice. You can eat rice for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and then you'll just cook like a side dish to goes with the rice. That goes with the rice. So that's how we usually eat in Indonesia. It's very rare that like you'll like find a family eating like cereal for breakfast.
Yeah, like never. Is that a
not never, but just,
Like, some of us
It's not
still.
common.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
not
common.
common.
Very cool. And so, if you're not eating cereal and things for breakfast, it'll be like rice, and would it be a meat, or?
Not
Yeah,
necessarily.
not necessarily. You can combine with everything.
There are other like Indonesian sweets too that you can eat for breakfast, like kue kukus.
Oh,
or
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like jajanan
Yeah.
pasar. What do you call that in English?
Like traditional.
Street cake.
Yeah.
Cake.
Traditional dish.
Traditional cakes, yeah.
Traditional cakes.
A lot of like steamed cakes or
Is it more like a cornbread, or is it more like sweet, like an actual cake?
more like a
Steamed.
cornbread. Yeah.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
We don't use a lot of ovens in Indonesia, so everything is like steamed or
So it's kind of squishy, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
is it kind of like that?
Squishy.
like soft, yeah.
Like
Soft stuff, and then we have a lot of fried things too, like
Yeah,
changkue or
that's
kue
the-
bantal. Like those are like things that you can eat for breakfast too. So
That's why
yeah.
actually I like it here because the food here I think it's more healthier.
Oh, really?
Because in Indonesia it's all fried.
Oh,
I see.
yeah.
Most of our food is fried.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I've talked to a couple students from Japan. They think our food is very, very greasy, very unhealthy. So that's good to hear. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool when you were talking about the wet market, how everything is, it almost sounds like what a farmer's market would be here. Everyone just brings their own stuff. And is
Yeah.
that just local farmers? Just
Yeah, it's
individuals
local
bring it?
farmers.
It's not
That's
just a big
super cool.
company, just
No.
all
Yeah,
it's
individuals.
local farmers.
Local farmers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of like the farmers market, but the difference because farmers market doesn't open like every day, right here.
Yeah.
Well, whereas in Indonesia, wet markets are open every day.
Every day.
Oh,
So
okay.
you'll see the same vendor selling the same things every day,
Wow.
and you'll have so many more vendors in the wet market. Before, people used to be hesitant shopping at the wet markets because it's not as sanitary as going to a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past, I don't know. In the past few years, I think they've improved so much in like how to make sure that we have clean wet markets nowadays, and it's just like creating a more comfortable like shopping experience or grocery shopping experience
Okay.
for the people. So
Just wash it with water. I think it's.
yeah, it's fine. Everything will be okay. That's what my mom always said. Like growing up, they said like, don't be scared to try the street foods in Indonesia because the more germs you get into your body, like you'll be stronger. You'll be stronger. Like the stronger you'll get. So like if you're like going out with like a 5-year-old, don't be scared. Like to just like, hey, like try this out. Like whatever it is they sell on the street. Yeah.
Whereas people here are very into cleanliness and like, no germs.
Yeah. Like don't
That's
be
interesting.
that.
To go along with that, are there any like superstitious things that you guys like? I mean, here we're like, don't break a mirror. That, I mean, it's not like super widely known. Or is it?
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a
yeah.
lot, really.
Like.
Could you think of anything?
Probably one example. You have to eat with your right hand.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Yeah, because we believe that left hand bring bad luck.
Oh.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Even handing things,
Yeah.
like
Even though you are
money or-
left-handed,
Yeah.
so you have to force yourself.
Oh,
with
man.
Right
Oh, wow.
hand. Yeah, because
Bummer.
it's just like superstitious from
Mhm.
old tradition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still like people pretty much follow it still. Like,
Some
it's a
of them,
traditional
but because right now it's more advanced. Yeah, I think most of us didn't believe that anymore.
Yeah, when we were younger, like
Yeah.
we were forced to like write with our right hand. Even though you're probably more comfortable writing with your left hand, you have to write with your right hand.
Interesting.
You hand things still in Indonesia. It's proper to hand things like money, anything, like with your right hand instead of your left hand. And
What else? There's
yeah.
a lot, but
Yeah, can you?
you're from
think
Java,
of
you know.
anything?
Not really. Maybe don't open your umbrella inside the house. Sometimes.
Yeah,
yeah,
we have
so-
that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or like,
Oh, why though? It's
It brings like bad luck also.
apparently.
And yeah.
Is it like?
Can I-
Is there anything like culturally like here? A lot of people take off their shoes before they enter the house. Like that's
Oh, yeah,
considered
yeah.
polite.
Like
Whereas
yeah,
at my
and
house, it wouldn't
also-
really matter.
And then I think Indonesia is more polite to point with your thumb, not with
Really?
your
Yeah.
thumb, not with your
Oh.
point.
point.
Oh, so it's
Finger,
like
yeah.
It's like this.
So it's with her, but
Interesting.
yeah, it's more polite.
Interesting.
I don't know. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, I
Why,
think
though?
shoes, yeah, you take off your shoes before you come into the house.
Mhm.
Oh, and also when you visit like someone's house, you have to wait outside before they're gonna let you in.
Oh, okay.
So
They like welcome you in. They're
Yeah.
like, come on in.
so it's probably
Most, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, one thing about the pointing thing, it's. I did that like the day after I heard that. Then I went to the warteg, like the restaurant. It's just like a little like
warteg.
walk-in place where you have like you get rice and they have like all these kinds of meat and vegetables. You're just
Yeah,
like, oh, I
yeah.
want this. I was like, oh, I want this and that with my thumb, and he was like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? But, so I guess it doesn't count for food. But like if you're gonna point, maybe like if you're gonna point at a person or
To
something,
someone,
you wouldn't
yeah.
want.
yeah.
Would that be more?
Yeah.
Respectful.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
polite.
More polite.
Yeah.
Wartegs are the best, by the way, if we're talking about food again. It's like you go to this small shack. It's pretty much a shack.
Yeah.
And they have like this glass counter where they just like put the side dishes on the glass counter inside like a glass counter, and you just pick like, okay, and like I want this, and once you pick up all of your menus, put it in a plate, put it on a plate of rice, you'll pay like maybe, I don't know, 50 cents for like this whole plate of just like
Wow.
a bunch of goodness.
Oh.
And
What are they
and
called again?
warteg.
Warteg.
Warteg?
I think it stands for warung tega.
Yeah, warung tega.
Okay.
Warung, yeah.
Is it a G at the end or a K?
A G.
Okay.
Yeah.
Warteg.
Warteg. So it's really cool.
It's
And-
the McDonald's.
Yeah, it's like the
It's
McDonald's.
everywhere. yeah. It's everywhere.
It's like you don't see a lot of fast food, you see a lot of warteg.
Delicious.
Yeah. But you did mention you had McDonald's as well over there.
Yeah, that's
right?
why.
Is that popular or is it more
That's
they want to eat
popular.
at the Huerta?
Like McDonald's in Indonesia, it's like for us, it's like for high class people.
Oh,
It's
really?
Oh, okay.
But in here, it's like for it's for everyone. Like, it's common, yeah.
Yeah.
But for Indonesia, like eating at McDonald's is like pretty much you spend
If
a
you
lot
have
of
like
money.
special
Oh, very
occasion,
expensive.
yeah,
Yeah.
go to McDonald's.
Interesting.
It's like 10 times more than a warteg.
Yeah,
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
McDonald's.
I bet.
But it's really famous there.
Yeah, because if you're saying it's like 50 cents for a whole plate of food and the burgers are like $1 or something, that's still expensive. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And what else? Something I think that you'll find in Indonesian homes is almost all homes are just like floored. So
Really?
you barely like see any like carpeted floors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like people take off their shoes when they come in
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to like make the floor dirty, I guess,
Yeah.
when you step in with your dirty shoes. Here in Hawaii, even like at home, like I would wear like slippers, but back home in Indonesia, I will just like go barefoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another, I think, like common thing. And you'll see with the umbrella, you'll see a lot of people going out, like it's sunny,
Yeah.
it's super sunny outside, and people are wearing umbrellas. And the reason for that is because people don't want to get tanned.
Really?
So yeah, umbrellas are used multi-purposely in Indonesia. It's like for the rain, and it's also to cover yourself from the sun. So it's like both ways. Yeah, but I think in the Philippines, people are use umbrellas the same. Like instead of using it just for the rain, people also use it for the sun so that they don't get tan and don't get sunburned. So yeah.
And is that just to keep your skin healthy? Or is there other reasons for using the umbrellas too?
No, it's just.
It's just a lot of we think like having like a light colored skin is considered like pretty or beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I do well in Indonesia.
You
because
do.
I cannot get a tan
Yeah.
to save my life.
Like they think you're rich if you're so like white or like you're so light
like
skinned.
Mhm.
So they think you're more of a higher like status. So
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting, yeah. That's like totally different here. You have people just laying on the beach trying to
Yeah.
get as much sun as
Yeah.
possible.
You know, get
Yep.
tan.
Well, awesome. Is there anything else you want to add to? I mean, we can finish up here in a minute, but anything else you want to talk about or add?
Indonesia, nice place.
Yeah.
Beautiful place. Yeah, just come visit.
Indonesia.
Yeah.
You should, yeah. I think people should learn more about Indonesia because we're the fourth most populated country in the world, and Indonesians are, I think, more of like there's a lot of Indonesians everywhere, I feel like, but our culture is not as famous among people, I think, because we don't talk about it as much.
Yeah.
So I think like if we talk about it more, like people will understand more that Indonesia is not just Bali, but
Yeah.
we have so many different cultures, so many different dialects, so many different places to visit. Yeah. So
Diverse.
you should try to come and like embrace the Indonesian like diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Marcia, she is half Chinese, right?
I'm-
So most
Yeah,
Indonesia-
full-blooded Chinese who were born and raised in Indonesia.
Wow.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. How would you say goodbye or like see you later in Indonesian?
Sampai jumpa.
Sampai jumpa.
Sampai jumpa.
The formal
Sampai
one, they
jumpa.
usually say like, "Dadah."
That's the.
Ta-da!
Thanks for tuning in. This was the Xeno Podcast. You can stay updated by following our Facebook and Instagram pages at Xeno Podcast.
This podcast was brought to you by BYU Hawaii's Reading and Writing Center.
You can also find us on YouTube or iTunes or by searching Xeno Podcast. That's XENO Podcast.
If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at BYUH_RWC@BYUH.edu.
Thanks for learning by listening.